Hey guys, this is the Marksman Hunter overview of beta right now. This is the second pass. Um, in this guide, I'm going to go over abilities and talents. I'll address some of the recent nerfs and changes and my personal opinion on those. And then I'll give you my overall opinion on the state of Marksman currently. And then later on, I'll go into some of the rotations for single target and AoE. If you don't know who I am, I'm Moose. I am a hunter expert theory crafter. I frequent the True Shot Lodge. I recently just took over the Marksman Hunter guide for Wowhead, and I also write the Mythic Plus guides for both BM and Marksman for Wowhead. So check it out. So getting right into abilities and talents. So baseline abilities, we still have the same basic abilities. We have Steady Shot, which is a generator. It just generates 10 focus. Cast time, we have Arcane Shot, which is just a focus dump. We have Rapid Fire, which is now our hard-hitting ability. It generates focus and fires a flurry of abilities. We have Aim Shot, which is the same as in Legion. It is now on a charge system, though. I'll talk about that here in a second. We have Multi-Shot, which does our AoE abilities, just fires a multitude of shots in a cone in front of you. And we have our main cooldown, which is True Shot. So Steady Shot in a recent patch, it was 2 seconds a couple iterations ago. It is now 1.75 cast time baseline, reduced by haste. And so as you can see, mine is actually 1.6 because I have some haste. Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot are now focus spenders as opposed to focus generators like they were in Legion. They both do a pretty decent amount of damage now. They're not just wimpy wet noodle shots like they were in Legion. Like I said earlier, Rapid Fire is now our hard-hitting ability. You only have it every 20 seconds. This is not reduced by haste. It is a flat 20 seconds. It is a channel of 10 shots, rather, fired over 3 seconds, and each shot generates 1 focus. Aim Shot, like I said earlier, is still our hard-hitting ability. It is the only ability that we cannot cast on the move. Every other ability we can cast on the move. It's either instant or castable while moving, even Rapid Fire right here. Aim Shot, though, we have to sit and cast. We cannot move. We have to sit and cast it. It's on a 2-charge system, like I said, and the charges and the cast time of Aim Shot are both now reduced by haste. This is very good. It makes our rotation a lot more smooth. We're casting more steady shots, and it's not as clunky as it has been in past iterations. So one of the biggest changes that most people, that's sort of like behind the scenes, I think most people know about it, is our mastery. So in Legion, mastery only affected focus spending abilities. So now mastery affects all of our abilities, even focus generators. So even Steady Shot gets buffed by mastery right now. They actually nerfed this recently. I'll sort of talk about that here in a second. Pet versus Lone Wolf. Marksman Hunter currently pet versus, so single target, Lone Wolf gives us a flat 10% damage. Lone Wolf is now a passive ability, and so when we don't have a pet out, we will always have Lone Wolf active naturally, and when we do have a pet out, this goes away because we have our pet to make up the damage. So currently, the pet versus Lone Wolf, the pet deals about the same damage single target. Pet is, I want to say, like 0.5% more damage than Lone Wolf on pure single target. So with pets, I'm not going to go into it a whole lot, but pets are now into a new, they have new specializations. They have ferocity, tenacity, and cunning. Unlike Legion, you cannot swap between these specializations. A pet that has that specialization will always have that. So a turtle, for instance, is a tenacity pet. A turtle will always be tenacity. You cannot swap. Turtles are tenacity. And so this makes us tame more pets. You have to have an actual stable pet. You can't just use the same pet for everything. Each specialization has different passives. So ferocity gains 10% leech and a bloodlust. Tenacity gains increased health for you and your pet. And you get a defensive. So you reduce 20% damage by, or everyone gets 20% reduced damage for 6 seconds. And then Cunning, you get passive movement speed, and you get a snare removal, a root removal. And so you have different utility based on what pet you want out. As Marksman Hunter, when you have Lone Wolf out, Lone Wolf now also gets baseline Survival of the Fittest. So this is a new defensive ability that we get. So this is an added defensive ability from Legion that we did not have, which is very good. Makes us a little more tankier. So some of the other defensives that we get baseline Aspect of the Turtle and Exhilaration. Obviously, that's still the same. Survival of the Fittest, and again, the pets we get the increased HP. We get the defensive ability if we have the Tenacity pet out. If we have the Leech pet out, we get the 10% Leech, etc. So we have a lot more defensive options now than we did in Legion. So going back to some of our passive abilities. So I talked about Mastery and Lone Wolf. So True Shot is a little bit different than it was in Legion. In Legion, it gave us 40% haste, but then our artifact also gave us some abilities such as Rapid Killing and Quick Shot, which reduced the cooldown of True Shot and also gave us 50% crit damage. So obviously artifacts are gone now, so we no longer have that. So now True Shot is just haste, but we gain 1 charge of aim shot when we use it. And it sounds really good, but when you're actually using it in your rotation, it feels rather clunky, and it doesn't really feel like a very good cooldown. And I'm not just saying that from a feely crafting, it just feels clunky when you're using it in the rotation, and it doesn't really benefit you that much. I think you might get a couple, 1 or 2 extra aim shots from it, but it's not a big cooldown for us, is what I'm trying to say. So that's there. We have some of the other passive ability you'll see here. Precise Shots actually makes and breaks our rotation. And so after every aim shot, we now get 1 to 2 stacks of Precise Shots, which buffs our next arcane or multi shots by 100% damage. This makes our arcane shots and multi shots hit pretty hard. And so our basic rotation right now is sort of cast aim shot, dump precise shots, cast aim shot, dump precise shots, while we cast some of our other abilities in between. But this is a really cool passive, but it makes our rotation very cyclical. Trick Shots is sort of the same as it was in Legion, but it is now limited to 3 to 6 targets. So you have to multi-shot within 3 targets, and it will hit a maximum of 6 targets. But this makes our next aim shot or rapid fire spread to those targets that we hit. And so a clarification, this is not like Legion. You're not marking any targets. Trick Shots is a buff on the hunter. And so you can hit the 3 targets. So right here. So you hit the 3 targets and you walk over here. You see how it's a buff up here in the top. And so then you can come over here and hit this target and consume that Trick Shots. Now, obviously, there's only 1 target, so it didn't spread. So here, Trick Shots. Boom, it spread. Boom, it spread. It's actually not spreading. There's a bug right now with these dummies. The Trick Shot won't spread. It'll give you the Trick Shot buff, but it won't actually spread. It does spread, just not right now on the dummies. So for utility-wise, we still have Freezing Trap, Tar Trap, Bursting Shot, Disengage, Feign Death, Concussive Shot, Misdirection. We still have all the same utility we had in Legion, plus the added pet utility now. So we now have Bloodlust, plus the increased defenses if we want the Tenacity pet, increased movement speed, etc. Some pets also, so like bats for Marksman, we can't use any exotic pets, but bats, for example, have a Dispel. And so if we really need to Dispel for whatever reason, we can summon the bat out, use the bat, Dispel something, dismiss it for Lone Wolf. Obviously, we have that ramp timer that I talked about, so be careful about that. But we do have more utility as a Marksman than we did in Legion. So let me go into talents real quick. All right, so Master Marksman is... your aim shot, so this was buffed recently. Your aim shot has a 100% chance to reduce the focus cost of your next arcane or multi-shot. So in single target, it's not bad. We don't actually need the extra focus. We actually cap a lot when we're using Master Marksman in single target. This is the best talent for AoE. Currently, our AoE rotation is very focus intensive. but taking Master Marksman alleviates a lot of that. And so this is very good. There's basically any dungeons, any heavy AoE fights, you're going to take Master Marksman. Serpent Sting. So since the Mastery nerf, Serpent Sting and A Murder of Crows are basically the same in pure single target. The difference is obviously A Murder of Crows has the reset mechanic, same as it did in Legion. And so if you can get a reset, A Murder of Crows automatically get better. Serpent Sting is just just a dot that you put on the target, right? And so the thing with Serpent Sting is that our rotation is already focus intensive, and right now with Serpent Sting, you're using 10 focus every 12 seconds, as opposed to A Murder of Crows is 20 focus every minute. And so the focus from Serpent Sting is way higher than A Murder of Crows, and his damage is about the same. You can get away with Serpent Sting in a single target rotation, but as soon as you hit 2 targets, it's not maintainable. And so Serpent Sting goes down the drain and as soon as you hit 2 targets, which is not ideal, because the whole reason why they gave Serpent Sting is to be able to multi-dot, right? And so it's sort of a shit talent. It is competitive on single target, like I said, but outside of that, it's awful. A Murder of Crows is sort of the go-to for pure single target still. The next row, Careful Aim, is sort of the new execute mechanic they gave us. It also acts as a reverse execute. They give us additional damage from above 80 and below 20% health. Careful Aim also works with trick shots, and so if they're above, if they're in that range and you trick shot an enemy, that arcane shot, depending on the enemy's health, will apply Careful Aim to that enemy. Obviously, not all enemies will be the same health, but if they are at that health, you have a chance to apply Careful Aim to that target, if that makes sense. Volley is actually just a really bad talent. It sounds good, the 10% chance to deal AoE damage. This is now RNG. It's not like Legion where we just left it on. This has a 10% chance based off your autos, and it's just bad. I mean, if you're the only time you'd use is like dungeons, for instance, but you have a 10% chance, which means it might not even proc on that pack. And even sustained, like say they were up, you know, we had 4 targets up, like these dummies, for instance. If we had Volley turned on, I could sort of try and get it to proc. It's just not, it's the lowest damaging ability in this tier, and as you can see, like the proc rate is awful. Like it still hasn't procced. So yeah, I'm just not even gonna, okay. The proc rate's awful, don't really take Volley. Explosive Shot is just behind Careful Aim and pure single target as of now, but it is by far the best talent anytime there are 2 or more targets. And so Explosive Shot, I know it's clunky, but it is the best talent to take right now. It's the same as it is in Legion. You fire a shot off and you have to explode it. But yeah, it is the best talent right now. I'm not going to talk about this row. They're all passive. Movement speed, reduction on exhilaration, and then camouflage is the same as it has been. Steady focus sounds good, but it's really bad. So since they buffed Steady Shot now has the 1.75 second cast time. You actually hit GCD cap on the second charge of, or on the second stack of Steady Focus, which is very bad. So basically, you're not even utilizing the full benefit of Steady Focus. And beside that, we actually don't ever cast Steady Shot more than twice in our rotation. Very often, we hardly ever do. It's usually 1 Steady Shot, other ability, 1 Steady Shot, ability, etc. And so this talent is just not good innately for our rotation. Streamline is very good. It is the best talent in this row for any AoE situation. And it is behind Hunter's Mark slightly. So 3 or more targets, Streamline is by far the best. There's also another Azurite trait, which I'll talk about in another guide, that it's called Focus Fire. It gives rapid fire increased damage, and every shot has a chance to generate more focus. And so now if Streamline, you're making rapid fire longer, that makes that Azurite trait even better. Hunter's Mark is currently the best pure single target ability. So it's the same as it has been. You just put a mark on your target. It sees through stealth for all you PvPers. The only thing that sucks about this is that if your target, so they have this mechanic where if your target dies with Hunter's Mark on it, you gain 20 focus. The idea is that they want us to juggle Hunter's Mark between, you know, primary targets or whatever, but it's on the GCD. So they put it on the GCD with all the GCD changes, and it's actually very clunky, and in our already tight rotation, it would cause us to cap on aim shot. It would it would cause us a whole lot of issues just because of that one GCD trying to juggle it. So it's really not that good. So I'm going to skip this row. Post haste is pretty much the default. Binding shot is now a snare, not a stun, so it's not as good as it is. Post haste is basically the thing to take. Lethal shots, this was in a past iteration really bad. It is now a 25% chance, up from 10% chance. It is currently our highest simming single target ability, but it has a caveat, multiple caveats. So it's really good. So I'll show you how it looks. So I'm just going to go through the rotation until I get a proc. So it's 25% chance. So obviously it's based off our steady shot, right? So we already don't cast steady shot. Okay, so here's a proc. So I want to try and use it with rapid fire, but see, when I got the proc, it had 5 seconds on the cooldown, right? I'm not going to hold my rotation and not cast aim shots to just use it on the rapid fire, right? So the 25% chance is bad, is RNG to begin with, right? But then you have a chance to choose aim shot or rapid fire, and you don't really have an option. Ideally, you'd want to use it with rapid fire because it does so much more damage than aim shot, but it's RNG on RNG, right? And this also works in AoE scenarios. So like if you had a trick shotted, all right, so trick shotted, this doesn't work on the dummies, but it would bounce to all 4 of those targets, right? Well, again, lethal shots, like the way AoE works is that, you know, you usually have waves of AoE or like dungeon packs, right, where they're not, you know, they're up for like 30 seconds. You rarely have sustained 4 targets, right? And so in AoE, like, since it's RNG, you might not even get a proc, you might get 2 procs. It's totally random. And so lethal shots, while it sims very good over 10,000 iterations, in actual gameplay, it's mediocre. Barrage is the same as it has been. It costs 30 focus for Marksman as opposed to 60 for the other specs. Same as it is. This is our best AoE talent in mass AoE situations. So in 5 or 6+ situations is our best talent. Something to note that, like Explosive Shot, Barrage is one of our only abilities that does not have a target cap. And so same as it is, so it hits all 4 targets and will also hit 2 targets. It'll hit 7 targets, 10 targets, however many targets there are. And so in dungeons, this is usually our go-to. Please be careful, Marksman Hunters, with our mastery, our XS range. Don't pull shit with Barrage. This is, you know, obviously why Hunters get a bad name. Be careful with it. Double tap is double tap is sort of similar to lethal shots in that it works only for 1 target or 3 to 6 targets because it's limited by our aim shot, which is limited by trick shots for AoE. Double shots is slightly behind lethal shots and pure single target. However, it is much more reliable. So since this is an on use, it is on the GCD, which sort of sucks, but it's an on use, so we can control when we use this, right? So if I want to line it up with rapid fire every time, I can use double fire here, and then I can line it up with rapid fire. So this is a double tapped rapid fire. As you can see, it's a double rapid fires, and it also gives you double focus compared to lethal shots that does not give you extra focus. So the only thing about this is that kill time will matter because it's a 1-minute cooldown, and so obviously if you kill it, you know, 4 minutes and 58 seconds, you're going to lose out on a cast of double tap, and that sucks. Same thing for AoE. It is very good. It's our best talent in sustained mid-range AoE. So like for this dungeon, for these dungeon dummies, they're together the whole time. Double tap would be the best here, just because it's together for sustained a period of time. Again, if you have waves every minute, this is very good, but it's sort of niche in that it's every minute. You can't really, it's not like Barrage where it's every 20 seconds and it's usable consistently. So just keep that in mind when you're using these different talents. They all have their different uses. They're all pretty good now. So the last row, calling the shots, casting Arcane Shot and Multi-Shot reduces the cooldown of True Shot by 3 seconds. And it sounds good. This is basically like our legendary boots in Legion, but True Shot is not that good of a talent. It is not as good as it was not a good cooldown. Not nearly as good as it was in Legion, and True Shot's just not very useful to us. There is an Azurite trait that gives us about 15% increased critical strike chance during True Shot, which makes this trait better. But even with that, it's not very good. Lock and Load, exact same as it was in Legion, is now 5% down from 10% chance. However, it's needed because Aim Shot is now a much heavy hitter, and it's just really good. So Lock and Load is our best talent in this row for single target and AoE situations, so definitely take it. Piercing Shot, not really going to talk about it. It hits like a wet noodle right now, very undertuned. Just don't ever take Piercing Shot right now. Hopefully all these talents, the damage tuning on these talents changes. Hopefully in the next couple weeks we see some damage changes overall, talents, etc. But all this stuff is just as it is right now. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the nerfs and changes that Marksman has had the last couple weeks. So going back a couple weeks ago, we had a 20% overall nerf, and that was accompanied by reduced aim shot and reduced steady shot cast timer that also now scales with haste. And so the 20% overall nerf I personally don't think was needed, but the aim shot and the steady shot definitely helped our gameplay. And so before, it was very clunky. We capped on aim shots. It was, it just didn't interact with haste. Like, haste was worthless for us. Now that everything scales with haste, haste is actually one of our best stats. And so it's very good. Gameplays wise, as you saw earlier, it's very smooth. I'll do another gameplay thing here in a second. The other big change was that Mastery. So now Mastery affects all of our abilities, including Steady Shot, Rapid Fire, and all of our focus generating abilities. Well, for a while when they made this change, it made us OP basically. It gave all of our damage, all of our spells increased damage. And recently, as of last week, they actually cut our Mastery in half. They nerfed it by 44% just across the board. They did buff aim shot damage to compensate a little. It didn't really help, as our current state of damage, we're basically above the tanks. Like, we're actually doing really bad damage currently. But for all of you that don't understand why they nerfed Mastery, here's a... Alright, so these are the stat weights prior to nerfing Mastery. As you can see, Mastery was way above Agility, which is not what they intended. And then all of our other traits are just sort of whatever. So if it went live like this, we would just basically get as much Mastery as possible, sort of go for eye level, but we would even sacrifice eye level for Mastery pieces at that point. So it was needed. I'm not surprised they nerfed it. They just didn't really give us much to compensate. And so my personal opinion is, gameplay wise, stats wise, everything currently, it's fine. We're in a good place. It plays well. We have talents for almost every situation. Our 2-target cleave does sort of suck a little, but we're not in a bad spot gameplay wise. Damage wise, we're not where we should be. We're very undertuned currently, but again, number tuning will happen in a couple weeks. Hopefully they don't skip us over. Hopefully we get some sort of damage, whether it's a overall buff or whatever. I think we're fine in the current state. So yeah, I think we're pretty good. We're in a pretty good spot right now. So let me just go over a couple of rotations. I'll just wrap up and just show you like single target rotation and AoE rotation. So the best setup right now for pure single target is this. So I'll do lethal shots just because it's the best simming. Again, double tap's more consistent and reliable, but I'll do lethal shots just for now. So basic rotation, basic opener, you're gonna pot, start with aim shot, murder crows. You're going to dump your arcane shots. You're going to dump your second charge of aim shot, true shot, immediately rapid fire, arcane shot, aim shot, dump arcane shots, aim shot, dump arcane shots. You're out of focus, so just regen when you need. And this is basically the rotation. You just go through. You just go through, regen focus when you need, cast aim shots, cast rapid fire with soft cooldown. You want to try not to delay rapid fire or aim shot as much as possible. So yep, this is it. It's a pretty slow rotation. It's a little better now that we have haste scaling. But as you can see, it's very cyclical. You basically just play around your arcane shots. I mean, your aim shots rather. Stay off focus cap. Just make sure you have enough focus to cast your primary abilities. And that's it. Alright, so I will feign death here, and then I'll show you an AoE rotation. Alright, so AoE rotation, our best AoE setup right now is... well, hold on. I need to wait till Murder Crows is off cooldown, so let me do a little more of this stuff. Here, let me, I'll show you Serpent Sting. Oh, I can't. Just kidding. Alright, where's that cooldown at? Almost. Alright, here we go. Alright, let me show you Serpent Sting real quick. So as you can see here, so let me just do the rotation. Alright, so you just maintain Serpent Sting here, and you'll see in a second, I have a lot of focus right now, but you'll see that maintaining Serpent Sting is actually very hard focus-wise. And so I'm sort of just hovering at really low focus here. And see right now I have both aim shot and rapid fire that I need to cast, but I barely have enough focus to cast them. And see right now I need to generate focus just to cast aim shot. See right there I actually capped on shots, or on aim shots for a second. So it's very doable in the rotation, but you hover very low compared to the previous. Alright, let me do Master Marksman. Okay, so this is alright, so this is a standard AoE rotation for Marksman right now. So in dungeons, this is what you run pretty much. I'll just go through and show you what it looks like. And so you're going to start off with Explosive Shot, Barrage, Multi-Shot, Aim Shot to spread. And now obviously it won't spread in the animation here, but it does. See how it, so now Master Marksman gives me a free multi-shot. And so you see how I dumped my precise shots right there, use Barrage as soon as it comes off cooldown. I still have trick shots, and so I'm just going to cast an aim shot, explosive shot, rapid fire. So see how I'm just sort of weaving in my my multi-shots. I'm just sort of every time I'm just spreading it as much as I can, spreading trick shot as much as I can. Now notice every time I'm not always dumping my precise shots every time, and this is because you don't have enough focus to dump it every time. During true shot, you do have enough focus, and so here, I'll use my true shot and show you. So true shot is a decent AoE cooldown. So during true shot, it's okay to use both your precise shots. Yeah, so that is the Marksman Aoe rotation. It's pretty simple. It's pretty good. Again, you have to have 3 or more targets to actually do the Aoe rotation. So that sort of sucks, but you'll get used to it. It's really not that bad. People are QQing a lot about it, and it's really not that bad. So you'll get used to it. And so yeah, that is the Marksman Hunter overview. If you have any questions or want to hang out, come visit me in True Shot Lodge, or you can join my personal Discord, links below. I have some other stuff, you know, the pet guide I think I mentioned earlier, written by me and Bindak, is also linked below. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, sub/follow my Twitch. You can sub on YouTube. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.